Welcome to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. Here's our format. A bunch of guys sitting around a bar. There's no bar. Having drinks. There's no drinks either. But we're talking business, and you, the audience, are listening in. The Best of Investing is actually a radio show that has been around since August 2010, and it airs every Saturday on Fox News Radio, 9:10 a.m. at 1 p.m. Now, we're not a political show. We're strictly business, so everyone will be happy with that. Remember, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. Are you ready? Let's go. A special guest who has been with us before, Mike Zaidlin, who's a registered investment advisor and who's also an attorney, but today specifically he's going to focus in on year-end retirement planning. Mike, welcome to the Best of Investing again.
Well, thank you, Edward. It's great to be here again.
Okay. Now I'm going to jump right in with this first question. What should people know when deciding who to leave retirement benefits to?
Well, it's a bit of a complicated question because it's all very personal, but what I always try to achieve is for my clients to understand what the full implications will be of the choices that they make. And the ultimate stretch benefit, and by that I mean the ultimate estate planning strategy, is if you can leave it to your spouse, you end up getting a great deal more flexibility in your estate plan and are far more likely to end up providing for your heirs a far greater amount of money over a far longer period of time than if you were to leave it to a non-spouse. And again, that's within the context of all other things being equal.
Yeah, so how does this inherited IRA work?
Well, let's say I were to pass away and leave an inherited an IRA to my spouse. Well, the first thing that would happen is that probably the custodian of the account would automatically transfer it to inherited IRA status, although that process could also be overseen by an estate planner or another financial professional. And it probably is a good idea to make sure that process is correctly overseen, because if it doesn't go to a designation as an inherited IRA, and in fact goes to my spouse's regular IRA or to another person's regular IRA, it could be considered a distribution and be taxed immediately. So it's a very fragile process, and you want to make sure it's done right. But that being said, what would happen is whenever you leave an IRA to someone, it becomes an inherited IRA, and so you'll see something like Joe Smith deceased, Sue Smith beneficiary, and that's how you know it's an inherited IRA. And then my spouse would have a choice to either keep it within an inherited IRA, or roll it over into her personal IRA, or to convert it to a Roth IRA, or to roll it into her workplace retirement plan. Anybody besides a spouse, no one has that choice. So basically everyone who is not a spouse who inherits an IRA or a work plan retirement cannot roll it over. It stays in the inherited IRA, and what that means is all the benefits need to be distributed based on the lifespan of the person inheriting it, beginning right at about that time. So you don't have the opportunity, for example, if I were to leave it to my spouse, she can roll it into her IRA, not take any minimum distributions until she turns 70 and a half, whereas the person who is not the spouse who inherits an IRA has to take minimum required distributions immediately. So I don't know if I finished answering your question.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, thank you. It did.
Sure.
Hey, Michael, a year ago they were making a big deal about, in 2010 you're going to have this great opportunity to convert traditional IRAs into Roth IRAs, given that, we've got, a little more than a week left in 2010, and for those people who may not be familiar with it or are still sitting on the fence, what are some of the factors that might influence whether someone converts their traditional IRA into a Roth IRA?
Well, that was a special deal that was only offered if you converted in 2010, and what that did was that allowed the tax to be distributed equally between 2011 and 2012.
So it's no longer available
it's
anymore in 11?
Not if I'm...
I'm a year off.
Well, we'll just have to invent a time machine.
Back in time.
Call me Rumpelstiltskin.
But the other benefits that are available are that there's no longer an income limitation on being able to convert a Roth prior to 2010, if you tried to convert a Roth, if you tried to convert a traditional IRA to a Roth, you were restricted by income limitations, so not everybody was able to. But now, even though you may not have the tax benefit of splitting it between 2011 and 2012, you still have the benefits of converting the IRA to a Roth. And those benefits, of course, are that you paid the tax up front, and now it can grow tax-free, and no one will have to take a minimum required distribution during their lifetime. So there's still plenty of benefits, and I can get into that a little later.
So now that I missed out on the 2010 freebie conversion there, and it's the end of 2011, and I'm just about to start my tax planning for 2011, what are some of the things that I can look at as tax planning or tax savings strategies?
Well, as far as IRAs are concerned, not many, because you have until April 15th to make a contribution. So,
and that'll affect my 2011 tax bill.
Right,
April
exactly.
15 of 2012.
Right,
okay.
right. So that's the latest.
Well, in fact, I was going to ask you, what are some of the differences between a qualified retirement plan at work and an individual retirement account?
Well, there are quite a few. For one, you can make much higher contributions at work. At work, you can contribute up to $16,500 per person. And if you're over 50, you can contribute an additional $5,500. So you could, in theory, put away $22,000, and that doesn't include what the employer matches. So if the employer is very generous and is matching and including profit sharing in that as well, it can go up to about $49,000. Whereas outside of a workplace retirement plan, if you don't have either a workplace retirement plan such as a 401k or 403b or a defined benefit plan, and you have simply a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, your limits are $5,000 a year with a $1,000 catch-up for being age 50.
So just a question on the employer plan that you were talking about. So if I have an employer plan, either a SEP IRA or a 401k, 403b, and so on, can I take that money and take it out of my employer plan and move it into a traditional or a Roth IRA?
Well, you can. Typically, if you have a 401k plan at work, you normally can't until you've turned 55, until you have terminated employment. So that's.
So I gotta quit my job to get my money.
Well, you can still have access to it in other ways. You can, and in fact, that brings up another difference. Typically, most workplace retirement plans offer participants the ability to take a loan, whereas your traditional IRA, you really can't take a loan because
only
that's
for 60
one of the
days if you put it back.
Well, right. And then you have to be very careful with that because the rules on that are very unforgiving and very technical. So, for example, if you roll over from one IRA to another IRA, you can only do so once a year.
And you can do trustee transfers unlimited.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And if you do I always tell my clients, don't ever take a rollover made out to you. Have it made out to the new custodian or have it be done directly trustee to trustee.
Great. Okay, we are in the studio with Mike Zadlin, who is giving us some excellent advice on IRAs and other pension and other retirement vehicles. And when we come back from break, we're going to get into some more good questions. So here is the first commercial break, and here's our first trivia question. And again, remember the trivia theme is Who Blew It? Okay. Who was the University of Michigan basketball player who blew it when he called a timeout when his team had none remaining in 1993, which cost his team the championship? Hint, he was part of the Fab Five. And don't say the Beatles, that was the Fab Four.
I knew we'd have another sports question.
Another sports question. You just love these ones. Yeah, they're all sports questions. Okay, the first three callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who was the University of Michigan basketball player who blew it when he called a timeout when his team had none remaining in 1993, which cost his team the championship? Hint, he was part of the Fab Five. 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, speak slowly, and spell it out for us. That would be great. And phone number. And we will be right back. Okay, good.
Michael kept cutting out on
This
my
microphone.
earphones. That's why I wasn't
Yeah,
sure.
it was on mine too. That's why I wasn't sure if
Badly
the
cutting
plug
out.
was
That's why
not
I was
plugged
asking
in
you
or
what
what.
your headset
Oh,
on.
yeah, that's funny. I didn't realize I didn't have mine.
Yeah.
Mike, when you do it, you don't think you swallow.
Well, that
like,
wasn't
just
it,
kinda-
but
No, it was
so-
staticky and cutting in and
It was
out.
static as though his connection was bad.
Yeah, it was like it was a
I
bad
had to
connection.
take.
Is
It
it
was hurting my
connected
ears. I
there,
had to take the.
I just-
Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on Fox News Radio 9:10 a.m. This is the show where we present valuable information, and for some reason something's going wrong here.
This is where I run across the bottom of the screen. We are experiencing technical difficulties.
I know,
Please
it's
stand by.
Let's try this again. Welcome. Why is it doing? Hey, someone else talk for a minute.
Hello, this is the second best of investing.
Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on Fox News Radio 9:10 a.m. This is the show where we present valuable information, and I'm going to try this one more time because I don't know what it's not recording.
Can you
Okay.
play? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not doing anything here. It's not doing anything here. Why is, and then nobody's like stepping on
That's what I'm
wires
looking.
or-
I'm looking to make sure that this wire isn't like pinched or anything. No, there's the whole thing, start to finish. There.
Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, and I'm joined in the studio by my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's premier private lender, and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks, without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Now write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco, and the vacations are free. Their only request is a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. Today's trivia theme is famous sitcom supporting actors. Okay, we're going to have some fun with this one. Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Remember to check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. Also, if you want to record our show in the future, go to the website dar.fm, type in The Best of Investing, and listen to our show at your leisure. And in the next few weeks, I hope to get Tiffany's to give a lucky listener a gift since Valentine's Day is right around the corner. You guys know I am such a romantic. I've been talking to Tiffany's, and they're going to try to get something on the show. And since it's going to be such a nice gift, I'm going to have to make the trivia question a real doozy. Maybe name all 1,517 people who died on the Titanic, right? Just kidding. Okay. Now, today's show is extra special. Our first guest is a woman who, like fine wine and my wife, looks better today, in my opinion, than she did 25 years ago. She has that je ne sais quoi. I don't know what that means, but it's French, so it must be a compliment. Okay, she's the most recognized supermodel in history and had been well known for appearing in many Sports Illustrated swimsuit magazines. But today, she's with us to discuss balancing business with family and personal life, as she now runs a billion-dollar company bearing her name. You guessed it, today we're honored to have Kathy Ireland with us. We all remember Kathy, the supermodel, but today I want to introduce you to Kathy, the entrepreneur. Kathy, welcome to the Best of Investing. Can you hear me okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words. Like this is being mentioned in the same breath as your gorgeous wife.
Oh, you've seen the picture.
Compliment. And she inspires me. I mean, women inspire me today. When I began our business back in '93, so often it felt like a male-dominated world in the area of business. I'd walk into meetings and it was very skewed. And I'm experiencing women shattering glass ceilings all the time.
Well, in fact, that was one of the questions I was going to ask you, was when making the transition from modeling to business, how serious were you taken? I mean, because people say I resemble Robin Williams, and yeah, try being taken seriously when you look like Robin Williams, and that doesn't work too well.
You know, I entered the modeling industry as a business person already. First job, 4 years old, selling painted rocks in my wagon, worked my whole life. And we do like to put people in boxes, and that is, it's just part of life. It's something that we all deal with, and we must work through, and not ever allow someone else's perception of us to shape us, to limit us, to give us our identity. But that takes very intentional strategy. It means working through things. I must tell you, one of the greatest gifts of that long ago modeling career was all the rejection. Because when people would dismiss my ideas as the CEO, would not take me seriously, slam doors in my face, that was okay. It didn't destroy me. It was like, hey, at least they said no, at least we're talking. I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe you'll be in a better mood. Maybe your circumstances will have changed. And I really encourage people out there, don't give up on your dream, but rather have a plan for that dream. A dear friend of mine, Janet Jackson, has a Nutrisystem program going on right now. I don't know if you've seen the great commercials out there. But something she says is you can't just dream for something. You can't just wish for something. You need a plan, and then you got to get on it. And that is so true about business, about life, and whether you're running a business that's something what Forbes talks about our business being, or whether you're working at a local grocery store, it's the same. And we're all going through it. We're being pushed, we're pulled. There's that stress on time. And something I say, particularly to women, because as women so often we try to do it all. And I really believe it's a matter of prioritizing our time. And for me, my priorities are my faith, my family, then it's being of service through the work. But when you get on an airplane, flight attendants say, what does a flight attendant say to you when you get on a plane?
Is this your seat? Are you supposed to be in first class? That's what they always tell me.
But she or he will say, put on your own oxygen mask first.